What's up guys, Phoenix here, and today's video is going to be, like I said in my Nationals recap video, the deck profile of what I ran at Nationals. Of course I ran Dragunitys because that is all I know how to play apparently. Just kidding, I play a lot of everything, but this is my favorite deck in existence, and so I play it everywhere I go. It is a curse and a blessing because I make people mad with it, and then I show people up for it. Like, so apparently this deck has entered my bubble season, where I've actually, actually stuck out in tournaments long enough to bubble when I could have topped. It's really stupid. I don't like it, and I really hope that I don't stay here very long, ultimately. But honestly, I'm very happy with how the deck performed over the weekend. Do I think this deck is viable in the way that it is now that Master of Blades is out, and now that Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Rooster, or Chicken as we know it, has been just announced. So once Judgment of the Light comes out, next format will be have a 3-axis Fire Fist. Will probably have a little bit of a spot in the format. I honestly don't know if it'll stay exactly the same, but I'll test that and find out. But for the weekend, this deck operated perfectly. I couldn't have asked any more from it. It just gave me a lot of side decking options. It gave me a lot of, main deckable outs to certain matchups. There was only one dead hand that I had all weekend, and it was in the feature match. So, and, it was a powerful hand with a lot of defense. I just didn't, draw in the correct. If I had drawn that hand in any different order, I would have won that match even then. So even my subpar hand was playable had it been drawn in any different order. But anyway, let me get into the deck profile. It's 40 cards, 3 ducks. He's standard. He just gets all your plays going. I mained 1 copy of Legionnaire. I did not main the Acklys. I sided him because Legionnaire is just a nice spot removal for, the Evil Swarm matchup if I play it. If not, it usually just gets discarded for Ravine or just uses, a Tempest fodder from hand. And ultimately, I did sometimes use this against the Dragon Ruler matchup when I knew I couldn't put 3 monsters on the board. I would actually summon this and throw the flanks off it to pop a token, and then sack for Mistleton and do some Red Eyes shenanigans to put a Blader and a Red Eyes on board. So then the Red Eyes could kill the other token and the Blader could kill the Dracosack. It just gave me little options like that. The last 2 Winged Beasts, 1 Zephyros and 1. What are you doing here? Garuda, I thought I destroyed you in my last deck profile. Yeah, so I actually ran this the entire weekend at Nats. Because without Acklys in the main board, I needed someone to fill his spot. And I'm honestly happy with how he performed. I'm happy with how he performed Game 1. Game 2 and Game 3, he was always sided out, unless I was playing against Evil Swarms. The fact that he was in my deck, he gave me more leniency with my siding. And before any of you say, yeah, that's why we were telling you to run it, shut up. I made this up on the spot as I was playing. Is that every Game 2 and Game 3 against like Prophecy and Dragons, I sided this out. But against Evil Swarms, I would side out the Red Eyes and keep this in, and it allowed me to keep an extra level, 4 to level 6 play. Let me do Xerafen plays. And then Game 3 against Dragons, every Game 3 that I'm going first, I side out the Red Eyes because I don't want them big-eyeing it. And this gives me the ability to, continuously push without the Red Eyes. It allows me to generate the same amount of advantage that Red Eyes would give me in my combos while not being a Red Eyes that they can big-eye and take. And before some of you tell me that was why you were telling me to run it. I swear to God, I hate people sometimes. Ignorant people. But yeah, I actually liked him. I actually liked him all weekend. Would I run him again? Honestly, probably. If there's ever a reason for Acklys to become very relevant in the format, to be main decked, this will be cut for Acklys, but as of right now in the format, I'm really liking the Garuda. I still hate it as a card in design, but I'm liking how it plays. So ultimately, that's how that's going to go. 3 Phalanx. I did not main the Acklys. I sided them. And wow, slippery sleeves. These sleeves are still pretty much brand new. I only played 3 rounds with them. The 2 copies of Mistleton, the 2 copies of Tempest. I did open Ravine Phalanx Tempest quite a lot. Or Ducks, Ravine and Tempest, and just any way to put a Phalanx in the grave. And it's pretty cool when you get it off. The 1 Red Eyes, and then I ran 2 and 2 for hand traps, 2 Valor, 2 Maxi, and that put the main deck monster count to 18. was very solid. I liked it. I liked that the hand traps didn't clog. It was pretty good. For the spells, 3 Dragon Ravine, just, standard. I actually was carrying around an English translation of this all day, and in the later rounds I was getting asked by people for an English translation for it, and it turns out they were just trying to shark me. It was like, there was 4 people that asked me for a translation, and only one legitimately needed to know what the card did and wanted to confirm it. The other 3 people that asked me for a translation, they said, "Do you have a translation?" And I said, "Yeah," and I went into my bag to pull it out, and they're like, "I know what the card does." So they were just trying to shark me on not having a translation for such an obscure card as Dragon Ravine. I really hate people sometimes. But anyway, you got to do what you got to do to win. 3 copies of Terraforming, 2 cards of Consonance. Even with the 3 Phalanx mained, I loved this card all weekend. All weekend. The only time I didn't like it was in the Prophecy feature match when I top decked it. That is the only time it was dead all weekend. Other than that, I had a Ravine just to ditch it, or I had the Gold Sark to play it with, or whatnot. I always had a way to make this live, and it always benefited me. It always got me into either my MST's game 2, my Decrees game 2, any of my side deck cards, or it got me deeper into my main deck's game 1. It was really, really good. I will never cut this card. I will never cut this card from the main board completely. I might put it to 1, depending on if I need room for something, but it will never come out of the main board. 2 copies of Gold Sark. I'm only running 2 Tempest, and I stopped siding the Blaster. And by the way, those of you who are trying to guess my side deck and be like Dread Dragon and, Last Day of Wish and all that, it was Horus level 6 and level 8. Some of you figured it out from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro video I did because I accidentally hovered over it long enough for you to pause the video and see it. And that's why the Blaster was there, because you could Blaster search them. But I stopped siding that for the event because it dedicated too much. It required too many things to go right on my turn for it to be dropped. But 2 Tempest and 2 Gold Sark meshed very well. And then the 1 Foolish. The Foolish, it's a pinpoint way to get into every other card in my deck that I needed in the grave. There's even some games where there was a D-Fissure up on me, and I Foolish Burial to Tempest and got a search off of it. It was pretty good. As for the rest of the 1-ofs, Heavy Storm, Book of Moon, I loved this all weekend. It was great. Monster Reborn, and Pot of Avarice. The Avarice, I saw Avarice a lot over the course of the weekend. Because, surprisingly enough, even running 2 Gold Sarks, I still opened 2 quite a bit. And, like I've said before, when I open double Gold Sark, I see if my play goes off. And if my play goes off, I just Gold Sark for that Avarice. I'm like, oh, hey, if you can't kill me by then, but you get rid of my field, I'm just going to do it all again. Have fun. Happy hunting. But then from then on, I ran 7 traps, 3 compulsory evacuation device. I just really loved the chain ability and the fact that it deals with an even amounts of threats all across the board. I mean, if you're smart against evil swarms, you can compulse them, and you can either take a risk and compulse them when they first summon their Ophion, or if you know they have the Pandemic, you can wait and see what they search. If they search a second Pandemic, then either they'll get greedy and set both because they feel like they need to be chainable, or they'll grab the trap and set it, and then at the end phase you just compulse their Ophion because they just set the Pandemic, and they can't chain it. It's pretty good. I don't know how useful this card is going to be now that Master of Blades is out. It might need to be swapped for like Mirror Forces and something else. I'm not too terribly sure on that one. But anyway, I main deck 2 Imperial Iron Walls. I was testing maining Vanity's Emptinesses, but it just wasn't good enough across the board for me. Game 1 being able to, Imperial Iron Wall, Spellbook of Fates, and, Iron Wall, of course, is great against dragons. The only thing it doesn't stop is the babies, but, I mean, you have to have 4 dragons, 2 of which being babies in your hand to deal with this card alone. And that's if I don't have a Stardust on board, because I can just negate your Draco Sack that's trying to get rid of this. It's pretty good. And then the last 2 traps are Warning and Judgment. I've been being told to cut these, and I strongly disagree. I love them. I love being able to Warning a Spellbook of Judgment Day. It's pretty good. And then onto the extra deck, nothing really much changed. Nothing major anyway. Crimson Blader, of course, Scrap Dragon, Colossal Fighter. He's a great Eradicator target. If I'm ever going for a first turn Eradicator play, I never make the Thought Ruler and Eradicate it off. 1, because I want to be able to have easy access to it later game, and 2, because I run a lot of my traps target, like the Compulses, the Book, all of that. I don't want my opponent Monster Reborning my Thought Ruler and then I just having no out to it, and they just run over my Stardust and stuff and gaining life, especially if we're going into time. it's just one of those things that you should probably keep in mind, is always make the Colossal Fighter if you're going to just be doing nothing but eradicatoring it. It's going to bite you less in the ass over the course of the game, especially because, you know, if they do have to reborn it, if you have a way to run this over, you can just bring it back from your graveyard. It's pretty good. 1 Thought Ruler, and then I upped it to 2 Stardust simply because of, you know, Spellbook of Fate, and if anything happens to the Stardust and I need to YOLO out another one really quickly, I can, you know, get it done on pinpoint. Trident Dragon just was not good for the event because there were so many Swiss Scarecrows running around main decked and Dragon Rulers and stuff like that that just wasn't viable or worth it. 1 Dragunity Gatorage, and then the 3 Vajrayanas round out the Synchro side of the extra deck. And then for the Xyz, the Gaia Dragon punished those Dragosac tokens. I don't think I made him but once all weekend either. Like, Atum just does not stay on the field anymore. Photon Strike Bouncer, Consider Ptolemy 7, Heritage Dragon King of Atum, and Ice Beast Zerofin. This bitch put in the most work out of any card in this extra deck all weekend, just in clutch situations. Just negating Ophions, negating D-Fissures, negating Rivalries. This card just single-handedly is a summonable out to Rivalry. Like, I never even thought of that until it happened. Like, it was just one of those things. It was like, oh, there's a D-Fissure and a Rivalry up. What can I do? Oh, I can Ravine Zephyros into a Zerofin, and then I can drop the Mistleton over the phalanx that's left over. Holy hell. It's just one of those things that I didn't see coming until it actually happened. Last-minute decisions for the win. And the side deck that I ran for the event, it changed quite a bit going into the event. I have the all-important Dragon token. It's something I picked up at the event. It's got all 8 of the dragons, the adults and the babies. And all you do with it is when your opponent plays, you know, a dragon, you use it with 2 I used it with 2 dice all weekend. Is like, say they activate Burner, or they activate Burner, so that's 1. They activate Burner and Reactant. I would put it on 2 and have the thing straddling the bubble. They've activated all 4: Redox, Burner, and Reactant, and Blaster. You have 4 there. They've activated Blaster, Redox, and Tempest. I put a 3 pointing up and down. It's just something that it was most efficient with 3 dice, but I only used it with 2, just because the 3 dice allow you to span such a wider area. But this thing was very helpful all weekend in the Dragon matchups that I played, because of the fact that I could just keep track without having to take up a lot of space with like Pokemon cards and tokens like other people were doing. But for the side deck, I took out the Horus level 6 and the 8 because it was just dedicated too much room, or too much time. I might put them back in now that the format is technically over until September, but I was siding Drolin Locks for the event. It was just something, it was just better in my eyes. It was more generic. It was I could technically side this in against dragons if I felt like it. It seemed better to me in the long run, and it actually did a lot of work in my spellbook matchups that I played. The second Legionnaire, the 1 Achilles, and my secret tech for the side for the weekend that only my friends knew about, the Fabled Catsith. Oh baby, I sided this thing against Evil Swarms because it's mandatory, so it operates just like the Fabled Cerebral, and I either used it to hit the safe zone on the Ophion, or I used it to hit the Ophion itself. You just discard it for a Ravine, and you destroy the Ophion. It's pretty cool. It's really, really cool, actually. The ability to just do that is pretty damn good, and it won me quite a few games in testing for Nationals. It never really came up during Nationals. That's simply because I didn't draw it. But when I was testing, like, the week before at my locals when I played against Evil Swarms, I would Gold Sark this and wait for it. Because, you know, Evil Swarms can't kill me quickly when I'm, you know, controlling the game at that point, and I just wait and get the Catsith. Spells I decided, I decided 2 MSTs. I didn't main them because who's maining MST this format? Not very many people. Side deck traps, 2 Vanity's Emptiness. I allocated them to the side deck to swap out with the Iron Walls because I was siding the Iron Walls maining the Emptiness, but Iron Wall is just better across the board. 2 copies of Eradicator. The card is amazing. I love it. I want to get secrets. I had them, but I sold them because I didn't think I was going to side them, so I just had to do supers and shit. 2 Royal Decrees, just for, you know, I side these in against Evil Swarms, and also anything rogue, like the anti-meta guy. I was happy that I had these. And then the last 2 cards in my side deck are just 2 Soul Drains, because I did not want to lose to the 1 Mermail or Dark Lord guy in the room. You know, I didn't expect to do well at the event, like I said in my recap video, but I definitely came prepared to try and do well. But anyway, if any of you guys have any questions about what I ran or why I ran it or what my favorite, things that happened over the weekend were, just comment down below. I might take a break from making videos for a little while, simply just because I am beat from that trip. If anything, I'll just be making Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro videos once or twice a day. I might start doing card reviews again, because there's a lot of cool stuff that I want to talk about that came out in number hunters and things like that. But that's neither here nor there. As always, guys, comment, rate, subscribe. Click an eye if you have not. I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps me make money and all that nonsense. There's no reason to lie about it. And as always, guys, take care. Hope you liked the deck, and hope you are happy that I actually decided that Garuda is not terrible for once, because it's just it doesn't fit my playstyle on a whole, but it definitely fits my siding strategy, which is monotonous and tedious. Or maybe not monotonous. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm even going to shut off the camera before I say something I don't want to say anymore. Potatoes.